Okay, isn't it beautiful? What place is this? Learn about this pictures. This is Dorsey Sundet Bridge. Wow, very cool. But anyway, under this. The teammate who asks too many questions is the one you need. Just a matter of doing. Wow, bro. this? No, right? Did it actually share the? It does show that. It's a very cool sentence. This is kind of what Basil was saying. Not action because procrastination is all of inaction. Yep. Ask clarification to any even during interview. But how do we know from the other end of it that they deem us cheating? Like imagine if you just on a question because you done that before and you just hunker down and bang out codes. Like imagine if you just got a question. Because they saw us, they saw you receiving the question and quickly banging out code that just worked. Just because you see done said question before does not mean that you should not ask a question. Right? with considerate and patient. Correct? Is there now for this? Yep. Right. Nice. Wow, the author is back. Can I not download? What? What? Okay, fine. Is that download? Very fast. This is in picture screenshot. Okay, now it's Reddit was saying. Life as a contractor is very tough. So me as an immigrant, there's this shield that war. There's this feeling of safe place. You should always show the best because otherwise the company, your company, that you might get hated. Always is the sense of that you are contracted should not warm up to really maybe they are, maybe they don't. It's either you real one, maybe I, but I'll talk more about this maybe. Mm. Yeah, this is what I need. Wow, I think it happen more often than not. Yeah, this guy share my sentiment here. mess. Let me just hit to post and then delete them. This is true, but this is the point that Carmack was making, right? Carmack was crazy implementing both solution. Right? What does he say? When did he say that? Remember fastly. This one, parallel implementation. So if you are not sure, right, what it be, right? Oh wait, this one right here. Right here. So do not be afraid to ask questions and try things out. I think right here. This is the good. What? Down. Come on. Parallel implementation. What? Down. Come back to this. With my note here. Put it here. Okay. So what does Carmack say? Oh, this is the repost, okay? Yeah, this is the important question. Does your company have source control that would make you worth working for or not? What I try to do nowadays is implement new idea in parallel rather than mutating the just allow easy and honest comparison between them. Right. And there's the video of crazy John Carmack with 27-inch monitor, right? Yeah, this one. During the development of Quake in 1995, John Carmack famously used a 28-inch Intergraph interview, whatever this is, costing me $10,000. Well, I guess you make insane money, right? On Camac, Lambo, right? Dude is crazy. This one. John Romeo. There's this book, Master of Doom. This is highly recommended. This one. It's about the development of Doom. Very good. Highly recommended. Some of my most effective use of stretch have been more aggressive. Like, how fast is it to just implement things from scratch nowadays? Open a preset window. The downside of this is like, if your code base is very big, how do you have to be careful of what he's saying here, like rip out the functionality that he's trying to compare to. Yeah, it's okay to be like prototype based. Code fearlessly on the copy while the original. I like this. Unmolested. Wow. Cool. Okay, so that was the saying about this point that they have here. You come to an SD3 and ask for question. Instead of like telling you what to do, he tell you to like do your own research and see. I don't know. I see this is the other way. Like, maybe you should make a decision and inform them. I don't know. Be proactive, because you gotta assume even the senior engineer, right? Or maybe they haven't thought about it all. Maybe they're not at that level. Who knows, right? Stop asking me a question and just focus on the ticket I signed you. Wow. Holy shit, that's how toxic as fuck. Wow. Screenshotting this. Okay. Found the Amazon guy. The Amazon one-way door was two-wheeler accept applied small scale. Okay. It's a valid one. Man. Alright. Move on to you can only code 4 hours per day. Let's do another 20 minutes of this. And then we can start writing our Substack for our stream yesterday. What do you mean you can code 4 hours per day? That's not it. This one. You only do 3 hours coding per day. That's it. 3 to 4 hours. Median coding time is 52 minutes a day. Median consume 11 hours per week. Wow. Somehow you need to get into the flow state. Flow state. Bruh. This is big. Not to go, but let's do. I guess that is why working from home is good, because I work throughout the day. Take a walk, do some house chore, cooking, see, then resume back to work a little bit, then do other. There's now people interrupting me. Oh, so point K work throughout morning, throughout evening. Okay, but what does Benjamin Franklin workday though? Right? Can't see anything. Right? So he work from 8 to 11 bars, 1 to 3 hour. Then he work for another 3 hour. Right? I don't know. Maybe Benjamin Franklin is an outlier. I don't know. People work differently, I think. Wow. On average, 52 minutes per day on coding. Wow. Allowable code time report. And I'm meeting this week. Meeting more often than coding is bad, guys. Engineering manager spent 18 hours in meeting each week. What are you kidding? That is concerning. Wow. Can't see the scroll bar. Okay, fine. Wow. Okay. Grammar, it takes 30 to 45 minutes. Nice. Your manager should leave you alone. No. Okay. Close it. Close flag silent notification. Wow. So research and work from home and flow state. It's like this is why if you have engineering manager who is the deaf before actually makes sense because they understand engineering manager who is engineer before should understand is better because hypothetically they understand the problem of the cause of interruption and should only intervene whenever it's needed. I think high achiever will manage their own schedule. This is the contentious point. Yeah, this is a good idea. Some week of just coding. Do not ask. What? I'm in Substack, you dummy. Right? Yeah, so stupid. The thing here. And interruption. For me, working from home is why open office. This is why for me working from home is better. Very insightful. Okay, let's go follow. Right. what it's saying now? Benjamin. Clearly you haven't tried Adderall. Wow. Let me check something. Well, there's so many block here. Is it because you just want them now? This is also true. That is also true. Yeah, I agree with this guy here, right? I don't know about the 4 hour. You do that. Mm. Yeah. I think there was the let me pause this. Jonathan below has the thing you video about deep work, right? Defocus. Oh my god, now there's 2 videos. Okay, let's do this. Do these. Well, this one has 2 minutes. Let's do that first.
Going into deeper levels of focus. I found that for a lot of the thinking that I like to do, it requires a very concentrated state. The expectation that somebody's going to need me to do something prevents me from going into deeper levels of focus. And so for a while, I would actually just go to a coffee shop in the morning from, whenever I woke up until about noon or 1 p.m. And then I would go into the office right after that. And so I would have a more relaxing morning of working on whatever I was working on, from a sense of more peace and less worry about being pulled on something. It's interesting because with design, getting into deeper kinds of design thought requires
I'm a
a
film
very
designer.
you can't have a lot of stuff nagging at your mind, right? It needs to be like that. But actually, programming is like that too, for slightly different reasons. It's because you're trying to put together intricate structures in your mind, and you're trying to visualize things that are very abstract and hard to visualize. And you need a lot of focus to get there. And somehow, I don't understand why, but the threat of being interrupted, even the idea that I can be interrupted, can prevent that focus from being attained. It's like, maybe it's something about it takes enough energy to
Most
get
of
there
this.
that your mind doesn't want to do it if it's likely to fail or something. I don't know. So even at a noisy cafe, right, where there's ostensibly all these distractions, actually the fact that nobody there was gonna need me to do anything made it much more relaxing, right? And so that's good. And now, now I live in Seattle and the company is in San Francisco. And so when I'm at home working on stuff, I also just get to be more relaxed like that.
Okay, so now what he's talking about in the 22 minutes here. Let's do that. What is bro talking about?
It's hard to describe what I do, but I mean, a simple description would be I design and program video games, but then the things that I do are kind of different from what most people think of when they think of video games. But then these days I also do other things, like I'm designing and building a programming language that ultimately, in part, would be applied to things like games, which are still one of the subsets of types of software where people actually care how well the software is built anymore. Well, what I do today is a direct extension of what I did the first time I sat down in front of a computer and was able to play with it, which was in a class in grade school. I was about 10 years old. There was a very simple, basic class, but I really enjoyed what was happening there and just ran with it. And 90% of the time I was in that class, I just started doing my own thing. And my own thing at that time was making a very simple game. And these days,
The witness.
the things that I work on are much, much more complicated, but it's the same thing at some level. I mean, everything is different at a practical level. The computers are different, the way you build software is different, the resulting software is different. The way that I expect people to interact with the resulting software is different, but there's a continuum from there to now, and I'm really, at some level, basically doing the same thing. For some reason, I was very interested in programming languages when I was in college. I'm not sure why I took to that, but I did. I made a bunch of what I would now call sort of hobby programming languages then. I made probably 10 or 11 different ones. It was
China.
fun and interesting to do. That gave me some practice in implementing programming languages, which came in handy later. But it also taught me some things, because when you're new at something like that and you're just excited to do it, same thing actually if you start designing games, right? The actual ideas that you have when you're new at something are not going to be that deep. Well, with high likelihood, they're not going to be the thing that moves the world significantly in some way, just because you yourself are not immersed enough in the thing. So the things that excite you are just at the surface level, and you have to get used to those. You have to know how they go and get deeper, and know how those go and get deeper. And so, most of these programming languages I did were based around one exciting idea. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if the language worked in this particular way? And it's like, okay, yeah, okay, that's one cute idea, but it's not enough to justify people coming and using this whole system just for that little thing. It reminds me, I also did some fiction writing when I was in college. And I would have these ideas for stories, and there would be like one idea that I was excited about. And what I understand now is that's not really enough. It has to maybe be a core of something that more things hang off or are built around or interact with. You know, if you just have this one idea that by itself is not really fundamental, it's just a random thing you're excited about. I don't know, a good story has like 20 of those things in it, right? And so when you find one, that's good. You put that in your pocket, but you need the other 19 things. At least, you know, that's how I do game design. So anyway, looking back at the programming language time from now, I can see when things were not really enough, right? Which then by extension teaches me when things are enough. Programming as a craft is very complicated. You know, I've always been somebody who's very interested in being good at what I do. And it's still, I didn't reach my current level of programming skill. I probably got there in 2012 or 2013, right? So if I started programming in 1981, it was 30 years, right? To get to a noticeable, I don't know if this is like as good as I'll ever be or something, but to get to wherever that is. And the basic activity that you do changes as you get better. In the beginning, the things you're trying to solve are very simple. Like you're just trying to figure out how to talk to the computer in the first place, right? And so all these exercises with very simple 3-line programs or something are just trying to get you to understand how it works. But you know, as it goes on, it becomes different. And what I find interesting now is that most programming languages are text. They don't look like human language, but they look like something written down. And that's actually important because I think it's a robust format to communicate in. Like people try to make programming languages sometimes where you manipulate shapes around or something, and that makes sense to some degree, but it's like never as good for some reason. So the thing is that we write the program in text, so we're communicating to the computer through this text medium, but experienced programmers don't think in text at all. It's like they're thinking about something, translating it to text momentarily so it can come back. So the text part is a very thin, temporary exchange portion of what's happening, right? So at some point, at a moderate level of experience, what you're thinking about is, I mean, you have some big problem and you're able to very quickly decompose it into smaller problems that you know are tractable and that look like other things that you've done before. And so you know just how to do those things and put them together. So that's thinking about the thing at a global scale of the whole project. But then each of those individual things, there's something that's harder to explain, where programming is structured in certain ways. Like there's patterns of the way the CPU does operations or the way that data is stored in memory in certain ways in order to be manipulated quickly or even just understandably. And those patterns are a little bit like abstract shapes or something. And so when you're trying to solve one of these sub problems, you're just like visualizing the shape of the solution and then translating that into text. So you're not even necessarily writing the text in order that it would make sense that someone would read it or that the computer would run it. You're just like, okay, I need this part and this part. Because if you see the shape doesn't start anywhere, right? And so then there's another little bit of a skill of like figuring out where to start to make this shape happen in a way that you don't flail around very much trying to do the translation. I mean, there's later stuff than that. So there's stuff I don't even understand. I mean, I've had experiences of, oh, I'm going to do this thing it's a non-trivial problem. It's relatively difficult. It's going to take me 25 minutes of typing. And I've had times where I don't exactly want to say go into a trance, but I just start doing the thing and I'm not even consciously thinking about the solution in that way that I just mentioned about the shapes of the structures or anything. I'm just like, I'm going completely on intuition and I type in for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. At the end of that, I have no recollection of what I just did. And I hit compile and it either works or it comes very close to working, right? So at that point, you've internalized this process so far that it's not even thinking as we usually do it. That's an easier thing to understand with simpler tasks. So everybody, I think, is familiar with, you know, you're walking back and forth through the neighborhood that you're in, or you drive to work and back, and at some point, you like get in the car and you're thinking about something or whatever, and then you're home and you're like, whoa, that was a little bit weird. I just automatically drove home. This is like that, I think, for a much, much more complicated task, especially because it's not a specific route that you've ever traveled before, but you somehow are able to do it. That's a really interesting experience that I've only had very strong versions of that experience a few times, and it always just shook me a little bit. I have smaller bits of it, like a lot. Like I'll often just start working on problems now and I don't even know what I'm doing. Like I couldn't consciously tell you what I'm trying to do, but it's like a productive direction to go. So there is some level of internalization. The thing about that is it's craft, but it also necessarily kind of, so you can program as an art or you can program as engineering, right? And often there's elements of both of those, right? But the engineering part is we have a very well specified problem, and we can rationally explain to you why when these sequence of things happens, it will produce a solution, and maybe we can even prove it or whatever. And it's meeting some design goal and all that. That's engineering, right? But this kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I type in a program and it works. That kind of programming can't be engineering exactly. Like it's informed by all the engineering that I've done, but it's actually a lot more like art, where it's like, I don't know if painters do this, but it's like, I'm starting to paint and I'm following intuition and I end up somewhere good, right? Probably you need to be a very experienced painter to do that. But it seems very similar. And so it's like art in that way, but it's also like art in that it necessarily can't be determined by these functional requirements exactly, because you would have to be engaging your thinking mind to make sure that things match up or whatever. It's just more like, you know, I want something generally like this, so I'm gonna do it. I know an analogy of that because I do a lot of improvisational dancing, and it's the same thing where you have to have built up a vocabulary of what you know your body can do under what conditions and all these things. But then when you do this improvisational thing, you're just reacting. I didn't know 2 seconds ago that I was going to decide to do this, but now I'm doing it, right? But actually the programming thing that I mentioned is even different from that, because when I'm improvising and I'm dancing like that, at least for any experience that I've ever had, and I've done this a lot, I'm still consciously aware of what I'm doing. Like the decisions come a little deeper because you can't stop and think about what you're going to do, because it takes long enough to do that then you miss the instant, right? It's just coming over time, and if you have to make a decision, you will miss the thing. And so the decision has to come naturally. So that happens in dance a lot too, but for the programming thing I was talking about is even weirder, because I'm not even consciously aware of the decisions. It's just, I go somewhere for 20 minutes and then there's a program. Like, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. There is a level before that that's analogous, I think. Like you can improvisationally program where you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. Which would also meet all those criteria I was saying before about it. It kind of has to be more on the art side and less on the engineering side, but that's less mysterious to me. That's more like, oh, I'm experienced and I'm having fun. But there's a thing that really is weird, where it's just like, I don't know what happened, but I wrote a program. So when I started building this language, the very common response was, you know, everybody uses this other programming language called C++. It's this giant complicated thing. It's impossible to build a replacement, and even if you somehow did, nobody would ever use it because they're all using this existing thing. And it's like, all right, I understand how you could mentally think that, because I was actually in that mindset mostly before I started building this. And breaking out of that mindset was part of what made me so happy when I started making it. So it's easy to have that feeling about the status quo, about how things are, but it's obviously wrong, because things change. The programming languages we use today are not the ones that we used in 1980. Whatever programming language you're using today, do you think that everybody will be using that programming language 100 years from now? Or you could even say
Probably not.
1,000 years from now. Pick some time horizon, right? Probably not. Okay, so now we're not talking about if people will switch away from that. We're talking about when and why. What was the reason why they switched? So obviously there's some time frame in which people will switch and some reason in which they will switch. So then obviously there's something that somebody could make at some time that would be the thing people switch to. So now we're just talking about, is it too early or not? And is this a good enough thing or not? And what that does, suddenly you can have a discussion about those points, but people will find they're not equipped for the discussion because they haven't thought about it, right? And if they had thought about it seriously, they would have realized it was practical. But this whole mindset of like, oh, you'll never replace this thing because blah, blah, blah. It's a kind of thinking that we have when we don't want to deal with the complexity of the world because we want to spend our attention on other things, right? So it's like, I'm not looking very closely at this, but I've wrapped up my thoughts about it, my cursory thoughts about it in some summary, and I have a belief there, and I don't have to look past the belief because I don't want to because my attention's over here, right? And that's actually a practical thing that we need to do in order to live, because if you put your attention on deeply into everything all the time, you would never get anything done. You wouldn't be able to finish breakfast in the morning, right? It would be ridiculous. So on the one hand, it's expected that people would believe that kind of thing. But on the other hand, it's obviously absurd, right? This belief is obviously just like a very thin paper wall that you can poke through instantly because they haven't actually thought about it. And so if you engage people's thought process on something, either you can convince them or they just quit the discussion because they don't want to think about it. This is weird. This is hard to talk about. There is a broadly understood idea of beauty in science and math that if you try to get too specific about it, everybody will argue and disagree, right? But it's something about sometimes when things are simple and also meaningful, then that's obviously beautiful. Like there's something there. Like there's no reason for this to be so simple, but it is, and yet it has all these ramifications that spiral outward and so forth. Programming languages have that, but you also have to fight against it because the history of programming languages is filled with a number of languages that were inspired by that kind of thing. Like, look, we can build this language on this very minimal foundation, and isn't it exciting that you can do everything you need to do to write a program with this small set of constructs that like interlock in this really interesting way. And it's like, yes, that's interesting. However, you're like building a chair for people to sit in every day of their life, right? And if you try to build that out of the minimal number of pieces of wood without like carving them more than you need to or something, it's gonna be an uncomfortable chair most of the time, right? So there's actually a balance between these two things. On the other hand, if you don't have that notion of beauty, if you like discard it completely and that you just pile a bunch of stuff together until it gives you something, then you actually get something like the C++ language I was maligning earlier that is just a mess. And then that also has a cost because then people are dealing with this ugly thing every day. And even ignoring the functional cost of like, it's hard to understand and get my program right because this thing is so complicated. People are spending, 8 hours a day for their life dealing with something ugly. Like, doesn't that matter? I think it does. I think it mattered for me for sure. There is an interesting balance and it's difficult to find the right thing. So I've said that in my earlier programming language experiments, I would have maybe a smaller idea that wasn't really big enough to justify a whole language, but I would get excited about that. So from my experience with the early programming languages in college, I would have exciting ideas that were not necessarily enough to justify building a whole programming language around. But that was because I was relatively new to the topic and I was still in that surface area that's not that deep, right? Getting to the deep part is not particularly easy, right? You need to do a lot of work. A lot of the work will be misguided in some way or another, or it won't be in exactly the right direction. You might do all this work to like tunnel through rock to get to here, and you're like, wait, we actually needed a tunnel that goes from that hub out to this direction. So you need to go back and start over and do all that again, right? Because you missed. That definitely happens. And so when I started building this language, my intent is for it to be, some kind of a little bit of a hybrid in keeping its eye on that notion of beauty and simplicity, and also for practical concerns being as simple as possible, but also being as complicated as it needs to be the comfortable, useful thing that makes people's lives a lot easier. And that's actually a weird balance to strike. And so I do have an aesthetics of the language for sure that I've developed, and it's a little bit nuanced and hard to explain, but it's there. It doesn't come all the way out to the text level yet, right? The text is a temporary thing that you get to, and the text of this language is maybe a little bit ugly right now. And I've deliberately said that I don't care about that yet because I'm working on the deeper parts of it, right? So the good structure has to start deep, and then we'll figure out the surface part later. Mm-hmm. So the plan is we'll probably change the visual syntax of the language quite heavily before it's done. Once we know what will best accommodate what needs to happen deeply, right? And I think most people do it the other way around, or maybe they get to a little bit of a medium depth, and then they're like, they've got some structure or some syntax that's calcified, and then they say, well, this is a little bit not good, so let's change it a little bit to make the syntax more beautiful, right? But it's not driven by a real core of anything. So that's a common thing I have to answer when people like see my programming streams and they're like, don't you care that the syntax for this thing is weird? And I'm like, yeah, but that's actually an easy problem to solve, right? The hard problems to solve, those are what I have to worry about, because those are the ones with a high probability of failure, right? Most people who have seen a lot of programming languages can just make a syntax that's fine, that's not actively bad. Whereas some of the problems I'm trying to solve are hard enough, especially with a small amount of programming power, because we have a very few people working on this compared to like Apple or somebody, right? That we have to attack those things fiercely, or they would be the points of failure. And so we're doing that, and then it'll bubble up. I've found that it works well for me to do things that way. It's also how we did The Witness, although there's maybe not as much documentation of that. Actually, if you go dig back on our blog, you can see early postings where it's like, hey, we're mocking up this game, and you can see it's in 3D this time, but it's just a bunch of blocks and whatever. I think it helps a lot to not get fixated on the surface things, even though those are the obvious things that everyone sees, and they're important because those are a substantial part of people's experience in the end. So, we did eventually work on the graphics for Braid quite heavily, and we did for The Witness, but we didn't do it at the beginning because it's too easy to go in the wrong direction. Like, I'd like to figure out what we're actually making and then make it good. And I'm willing to actually tear the whole thing down and remake it from scratch if that's what's necessary, once we've found what we need to make.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so focus problem is very hard to solve. I think it's different for different people. You kind of have to figure out what works best for you. Then, what is this? Figure out what works best for you, and tune into that thing that works for you. All right, time to write the Substack. Review yesterday. Substack have some kind of thread or Twitter? Yep. Mm. I already follow him, right? Did I follow him on Twitter? Create a new post. Alright, what do we do here? First thing we do is Coco eating bananas. And then we do speaking iterators. Read and react. She should be component mount. Component mount. Whatever. React. Did mount. Versus my solution. given that they can only eat a certain amount of banana for an hour. That means the case to choose from is ranging from 1 to 11. 1 to the max of the pile. Right? In the central pile, we can zero is not interesting, and greater than max pi scale down to 1 anyway. Now to finish that. Okay. Pick the following. Sum up 3, 6, 7, 11. C if 24 hours is greater than 8 hours. Reject, so on. If k equal to 3, then sum up okay. So we take 3. K equal 3, then this is 2. 7 divided by 3 should be 3. And then 4. This is 10 hours. Greater than 8 hours. Reject. K equal to 4. We have sum up 1, 2, 3, right? This is exactly 8 hours. Pick then we see here the case where this is the example answer. You see that greater than 11 the same as k equal 11. So our input space scale down from 1 to 11, right? So the problem, we can do the following. Sort it. This sign complexity is 0 of kn, right? Also notice that since the k to pick from is sorted, right? We can binary search them. If we found candidate, we give divide, we keep going left. We found if the middle candidate is correct, it's within the house. Otherwise, we search in the right portion, basically. For example, so we started with started with 111, right? Okay, equal to 6, right? So because we can found it, then we keep halving. So k equals 3, and if k equals 3 is not good, so we go to the left, right? If k equals 3 is not good, then we go to the right, right? So 6 minus 1, right? Wait, hold on. No, yeah. Because 3 is not good, then we go to the right. So instead of, yeah, we go to the right one. So I'm just gonna copy this. Yep, pretty much. I remember binary search is one of the algorithms that is easy to implement, but very easy as well to not get it right. Plus, I was using LH as the low and high with 8 passing as the function parameters, confusing me much too deeply. LL. Binary search easy. Right. Hard to get right. What is saying here? What is this? Wow. Some sauce. John Bentley. Who this? Oh, Joshua. Even Joshua block. Even Joshua block. Yeah, very typical. Integer truncation make underflow. Okay, overflow. Make it overflow, resulting in negative number. Right? I think I did that too. But I think the suggestion is should become right. My implementation probably susceptible to this, but since problem constraint, it will not overflow. What is the number of constraint here is 10 to the 9. 10 to the 9. Okay. So 10 to the 9 less than max in. I think so. Nine zero. Max in is 2 to the 31 minus 1. This number will be minus 10 to the 9. Okay, so yeah. Okay. Time complexity u is okay. Log n. Log k, sorry. And log k. Okay, that was that section. What? Okay. It's possible for me to change the code here. This is the one. Can I change the name? Just repeat the code. Go. Go. Yeah. Changes. Yep. Right, so back to this. Okay, done the first portion. Oh, need to do writing second step post. So yesterday night we do this. So our picking iterator is what? Go over my note here. The first intuition, first stupid solution is we can always in the constructor keep calling next to pop the item out of the passing operator into our own track list. Right? And then just implement the other function like one good in iterator pattern. So iterator okay. This makes the complexity, the time complexity for this will be O(n), right? N is the number of items the iterator was holding. Right? Is there a better way? So wait, there is a better way. In fact, I look at the hint of the question. It's saying something like one variable is enough, or something like that. That one is this one. Is one variable enough? Why or why not? Right? So this is, so then come up with two variables. One is the front to always point to the front, right? Okay, front striking where the next pointer is. We call next from the iterator to initialize it, right? But since the next pointer already moved, we have, meaning it is always ahead of us, the front, by one pointer. That means to actually correctly implement as next, we have to make sure that make sure it's actually had reached the end when the second variable tracking the last element reach counter of 2, right? Because the real iterator is ahead of us by one move, right? Okay, so that is my solution. Let's make the complexity 01 because we just do some metadata tracking. Okay, so that's my solution. The question also point to a source to read Google code for a clean implementation. Let's read them now. From Java library. What is it? Check Google Java right here. Let's take a look. Okay. Okay. So they implement picking iterator. So picking iterator has what? Oh, it had pick, next, and whatever, right? Go back. Okay, so they also do like two variable like I do, similar. So has been picked or has next. If it's not picked, then just do next, okay? You care about the next one, right? So I think compared to mine, it's sort of the same, but they don't do the tracker, that polling here. They actually do the what they do here. They check if it's a head pick. If it's not head pick, then just do normal. So how did you turn on the has pick? It's when you call pick, right? If not head pick, then pick element equal next. You repick. Then do that. So when you do next, if you has pick, then the result will do this, and has pick is false. Okay, they flipped it, and then they make this. Okay, so they do that. Sort of the similar idea, but they just do it differently, I think. And the question is, follow up. This is just realize, just make for language that support generic, right? Generic. Just iterator should be passed in generic form, right? So like iterator E, right? Then my front gonna be E front, right? But Python take anything, since this is a interpreted is it a dynamic typing language, it probably be fine, right? So for for strong typing language, Java, okay. So last night we finished these two problems, and then we did some reaction to some article. what screenshot that I did. The first thing we did is, what is this? Read and react. So this is gonna be, sorry, not this one. How replacing developer with AI is going horrible, real wrong. Okay. Screenshot it. How do you paste the YouTube here? Just do this. This is heading 2, right? No, this should be heading 2. Yes. Okay, and subreddit. There are source discussion to Reddit. This one. And this one. Can they just not link with the thing that I hear? I have to copy paste. Okay. I'll wrap this up and gotta eat lunch. It's gonna take some time because I do some more React in the morning. Jeez. Okay. The general sentiment is that generated code not stable in production, causing more issue than especially security risks. Right. What is that? Senior engineer will require took more time to review code. There is an AI company called Builder AI gone bankrupt, whereas before they said AI had replaced developers. Some even say that AI is actually Indian. Low. What the hell? What's your boldest? Control B. Okay. There is a very good article on whether LLM as its current architecture. What is that? Someone ping me. What? No? Maybe it's Windows. What is that thing? No idea. Okay, move on. Might not be able to. What is it? Ping. Is that from the music? To replace you. Okay. Honorable comments to this. What screenshot did I take? Oh, OL. The Windows 11 upgrade is a disaster. Hopefully, it won't impact my PC as I am writing right now. I turn off Windows update for a long time. Okay, it's a disaster. Okay, what about Windows 11? Here's one. Okay. What else is screenshot I have? Next question is, how many pictures does Substack let me upload? Is Meta like that? Monoculture. Okay. Yep, sir. Me too. Can I buy RAM now or no? Also replacing developer with AI. We are hiring constantly, but we require developer know or be willing to learn the latest tooling and techniques, which include AI use, increased individual velocity, and that is evident to us. Maybe you could argue that we are hiring fewer devs, or you might argue we hire the same but can now do more. Yep, it's just a tool in your tool belt. There's no need to do broadcast this like AI doomer thing like that. I don't like it. Okay, so then the next thing we do is this morning is we do this. Teammate who asked too many questions is the one you yep will be heading to. We can link this to this. This is the quote. Yep. Always ask clarification question. Even during interview, I guess. Because how do we know from the other end point of view that they deem us cheating? Yeah. See that clearly? Okay. Luli live AI meeting. Because they saw you, they see you receiving the question and quickly banging out code that just worked. For our defense, maybe we've seen that question before. Okay. Yep. Do not hesitate to ask questions, even no matter how dumb it makes you. Ask question yourself as well, and responding with considerateness, patience. is what I'm getting out of the thing. Then the discussion is discussion is here. Right. There's some point on the contractor position, not asking question while working. I can resonate with. Used to work as a contractor myself. There is this insane what do you call it? Insane thinking in your mind that you should project competent and asking seems, I think, in my brain, project incompetent. Right, so on. Okay, so what screenshot did I do? Oh, sorry, wrong one. There's some point that I agree with. Maybe it's the cultural thing. And lo, this guy gets it. I once started a job somewhere and got told to stop asking questions. When I asked a bunch of things about how the environment is set up, whatever, the team lead said to me straight up, "Can you stop asking so many questions and just work on your ticket I assign you?" I left that job the next day. Holy shit, that sounds toxic as fuck. Yes. Yes, and then what did we talk about? Okay, and someone said I forgot what this point is. I have to go watch back to what did I thought on this. When did we do parallel implementation? Someone said something about that. But let's go on to the next thing. This is the last thing that I did in the 1 hour in the morning. So Someone said that you can only work code for 4 hours. I think that is not right, but whatever. What do I know? Okay. Oh, I like it already. So you heading 2. Oh, it's too long for email. Fine, I don't care. Go to my Substack again, bro. Go to desktop and read it, please. Okay. The Reddit discussion is this. Okay. So quote here is, wow. Wow. Only 52 men. No. I like to speak with the manager. This guy even worse. Engineering managers spend 18 hours in meeting each week, almost half of a standard 40-hour work week. Developers at large organizations have 12 hours of meeting each week, whereas developers at small organizations have 9.7 hours. Wow. Took try to avoid there is this thing called flow state that makes you focus deeply on the work, aka being productive. Interruption is worse for programmer because we copy this flow state here. Because it takes programmer or programmer takes 30 to 45 minutes to context switch back. Remind me of my favorite programming meme. Programmer. Interruption, right? What's the meme? Where is the meme? Images. Yeah, this one. Can I link the picture to the image here? Can I link the picture to the copy image, whatever? Yep. This is coming from this website. Paul Graham actually reinforced it. Actually corroborate, is that the word? Someone on the maker's schedule. Right. It's from this. Corroborate, yeah. He confirms that you just have to train your mind. Jonathan Blow is talking about sometime. Okay, let's put it at the end. Sometime you can be in a trance state of sort, not under any influence, of course. Right. And it's just following the intuition, and somehow without watching the code that one type unconsciously works most of the time. Okay, so where is it? But what about Benjamin Franklin? Working 6 hours? Where's Benjamin Franklin hour? Okay. What about this, bro? Look at this. 8 to 11. Then work again from 2 to 5. Wow. Is he distant outlier? I think it depends. Honestly, if the problem I am trying to solve is interesting, Fallout is cute. Right? And that's it for the game. Oh, we do this. Because one of the follower stream figure out where is that. Okay, Twitch. They asked it in the when did they ask that? Let's just do that picture later. You next time. Okay. So yesterday and today, to recap, let's call this Coco picking banana picking at banana pie by asking AI to do its work. Whatever. Title is code and read article. Review. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to link the. It did link the Reddit, right? Can we do smaller? Oh, I forgot to link the two streams. We link the YouTube. My link. This one. And the eponymous stream we write this. Is eponymous the word? To meta. Like, can we link the current stream? Yeah. Come on. Maybe we can also share. Will we edit to add? Okay, I think that should be it for now. Probably eat something, play some games, then back to this. Um, Stopping it now.